Welcome to Friday Night Likes. My name is Chris Webb, and in this show I review toy photography from around the web so you can learn how to improve your skills in composition, lighting, posing, scene building, and more. Now, first up, I need to tell you, there is a heat wave here in Sydney this week. It's like 40 degrees. I'm actually sat here, it's about 8 p.m. Thursday night, literally wearing a pair of shorts, probably more information than you needed. But yeah, I'm going to try and get through this as quickly as possible because it's just sweltering. It also accounts for the lack of photographs I've been doing on my various accounts. It's just too hot to be taking photos in a room with no air conditioning. So yeah, this heat wave ends this weekend, and then hopefully I'm going to be back at it with a vengeance next week. So with that said, let's get into it. First shot is from Plastic Snaps, Simon Hill, regular over at ACBA. Reason I've picked this shot is because this is a great example of a triadic color scheme. So picking three colors that complement each other off of a color wheel. So he's got the yellow that he's got in the set, and then he's got these kind of shades of purple that you can see on Ripley in her suit and the gun and in the railings to an extent, and then you've got this kind of aqua in the background, and this is a triadic color scheme. It's complicated to pull off, but it works, and you don't see it very, very often. And in fact, if I look at Simon's work, you actually see this crop up again and again and again. He's really, really good at mixing three colors. To show you what I mean, the easiest color wheel I could find was just color correction here in Adobe Premiere. So if you look at this color wheel, you can see there's the yellow there, and then if I go over there, you've got kind of the purple, and then if you come down here, you've got the aqua. So that forms three kind of spokes, which is what he's tapping into as a triadic color scheme. You know, you could go red, green, and blue and do a similar thing. And obviously, this is just the hue, so the color itself. You can obviously muck around with the luminance, how bright or dark each shade of color you pick is, and the saturation, so how deep each shade of color is in terms of its vibrance, from a very, very saturated, vibrant color like you see here, all the way down to a desaturated gray. So you can see the shades with this now. Obviously you've got a darker yellow here, a lighter yellow here, highlights in the purple. It's generally darker in the purple, and then the aqua's got that beautiful kind of mist in it going on, and that forms triadic color with composition. So I thought that was a useful one to show you guys, point out it's a trick you can play with composition through color, and a great one to kick us off with this week. Next up, I'm going to struggle to pronounce this gentleman's name, Kung Saga. Apologies if I've said that wrong. This is a really, really nice example of someone doing a pretty great job with Photoshop. I don't see a lot of people doing stuff with Photoshop with toy photography and doing it well, but this popped out at me because it's really, really well integrated, the figure and the background. The depth of field in the background there is spot on, and then whatever kind of color tone matching he's used to get the figure sitting in there, it completely sells it for me. You got these kind of sparkles of the rain coming off, which look great. Only thing that kind of could do with a little bit of work for me is the rain here. These sort of droplets of rain coming through the air are a little bit too sharp, so they're a little bit too in focus. Trick with rain is you always want to do it at different depths, and generally if stuff's too sharp like that and kind of gives away to that it's a Photoshop composite, it's just a case of putting a tiny amount of blur on it in Photoshop, and that just sinks it into the composition and sells it a bit better. And then, as I say, with the rain, you want multiple levels of it. I can see he's got some behind going in a different direction, but it's generally best to use the same, I guess, texture and repeating pattern and then create a couple of layers of it and give those layers different amounts of blur, and then that will give the depth with the rain. But apart from that, this is great. Beautiful colours, lovely tone. Really, really like this. Nice composition sort of leading up to his head there. So yeah, this popped out of me and picked it with good reason. Next one, another one with colour composition, another awesome Instagram name for me to try and pronounce. Quetam, is it? I think. Quetam. Very, very easy to do. Blue on one side, orange on the other. I've done this with the Black Widow shot out of the shadows. You can go and hunt down. This is more vibrant. It's beautiful. In general, you get a nice big figure like this. 6-scale figures work great for this. Just pop blue on one side, orange on the other, and you get complementary colours going across. And where these colours meet, you can see there on the arm, it's kind of going into the blue side. The blue won't come over onto the right side as much because blue isn't as powerful light wavelength as the orange end of the colour spectrum is. So that's why there's more kind of orange dominating the scene. It's to do with the light. But hey, doesn't matter. Get a great result like this and a really, really nice picture. Next one by Sir Dios. I picked this because it's a great example of height and light. So taking advantage of this angle straight from below. I complain a lot that you don't see people lower their camera enough with toy photography. It's really, really important to at least get on eye level. There's rarely an example of a shot I can see shot from above that wouldn't have been improved had the camera been lowered. In this case, this has gone way, way, way down below to the ground level, shooting right up, which is great. And it allows you to pull off a great sense of perspective and height with a shot like this. The shot I did of Obi-Wan a couple of weeks back with the Space Walls was kind of a similar setup in terms of trying to figure these things out. The tip I would give you if you're going to do this kind of thing is don't actually try and set this up vertically. Do it horizontally. So I don't know if that's what he's done, but I would have laid this out flat on the table. Makes the figures much easier to pose. You know, if you've got figures that are standing, you can literally just lay them down. And then all you've got to do is pose them in a way that sells the gravity that they would be, you know, falling and coming this way. But it's generally much, much easier to do if they're laying down. The other thing that sells us, of course, is the light. So he's got the light coming through and shining up, giving the obvious effect that the lights out of the windows would be backlighting all these characters. So it's very, very well thought out and set up from that perspective, and that's why it's in this week. Last one, my favourite this week, El Sinestro. This beautiful, beautiful shot of a picture within a picture. Something you don't see a lot in toy photography, and very, very nicely done here. Amazing diorama of a subway, or I don't know if it's a mainline train. Forgive me, I've never been to New York, but in any case, great setup on the train. Got all these passengers not knowing what's going on, and then Spidey and, is it Venom, having some kind of tussle out the back. Notice behind them, you've also got another train passing behind those two, which I'm guessing is going to be like a monitor or an iPad maybe to project it. I'm not sure, but it's little things like that, getting 3 layers, almost 4 layers, because you've got the train set here, the figures in the train set, these 2 characters, and then that speeding train behind, and the blur on that train sells the motion of it and gives it movement. So it's really, really, really nicely done. Again, you've got complementary colours. You've got the orange seat and the overall blue tone of the train, and then importantly, the colours of the characters within the window are different, and that makes them pop out. That makes you focus on those more than you would have if they had the same colour scheme as the inside of the train does. So this has been really, really, really well thought out. I know, because I've done this kind of thing, how long this takes to set up, because you've got to set up each sort of stage of depth of this one at a time, and then as you're doing one and you want to fiddle with things like where the figures are here in the window, how you place things in front of those, it starts to get really, really complicated in where you position lights. This is the hard end of doing toy photography well, and he's done it very, very well in this case. The only thing for me is I would have maybe cropped in a little bit more, because as great as this dio is of the train, the subject's really these guys. So cropping in maybe from the top here, maybe taking this guy out, I would have maybe turn the guy around with a newspaper so you can't even see his face, or have his eyes looking at those two so it draws you towards them. And then by cropping that in, it's just going to make that inner picture pop out more and keep your focus on them, because you've got to pick your battles. You've got to decide, where's the story. And I mean, it is a great photo, absolutely no doubt about it. I don't want to take anything away from it, but you'll find when you crop and move around what you want your viewer to look at, it changes the photo and it changes the makeup, the composition of the photo. And it's hard to be restrained and just focus on one story, if you like. These are the challenges we have as toy photographers. But hey, that's all part of the fun. This is a fantastic shot, great one to finish us off with this week. Please check out the description below on YouTube. You'll find links to all these artists and the photos. Make sure you follow them all. They've all got great work, well worth your time. And if you have your own thoughts, comments, I'd love to hear them as well in the comments here on YouTube. So that's it for this week. I will see you same time, same place next week. Head to ToyShooter.com to join our newsletter and get my free guide to toy photography. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel on YouTube using the link below. When you subscribe, look for this option to be notified whenever we upload new tutorials. Otherwise, videos will probably get lost in your feed here on YouTube. To see my work on Instagram, you can follow our account at instagram.com/WeShootToys, where you'll also find some exclusive behind-the-scenes videos. You can also get regular news and updates from our Facebook page at facebook.com/ToyShooter. As with YouTube, you can get notified whenever I upload news or photos by clicking on that like button arrow, then selecting all notifications. You can always change this later if I'm posting more cool stuff than you can handle. Here are all those links again. See you next time.